Hello, and welcome to Fresh Blood, a podcast about killing it after 40, where we prove that new blood does not necessarily equal young blood. Here to discuss what it takes to have continued success through life, I'll be your host, Jolie Downs. With over 20 years of executive recruiting experience, I've learned how much we can grow and be inspired by other people's stories. I'm excited to share that with you here on Fresh Blood. Today we are speaking with Katherine Bell. Katherine is a trained astrophysicist who, after spending years with NASA, finally decided in her 40s to follow her passions and become a Dreamwork practitioner. Katherine went on to found Experiential Dreamwork, where she is a dream coach running online dream workshops, online dream groups, one-on-one sessions, and hosts an annual Festival of Dreams in Santa Cruz. Katherine is also the host of the podcast, The Dream Journal, which airs live on the radio with KSQD every Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Katherine, thank you so much for joining us on Fresh Blood. I do find myself fascinated with your story. Please tell us a little bit about how you went from an astrophysicist to a dream coach.
Yeah, Jolie, thank you. So glad to be here. Being an astrophysicist, oddly enough, was something that I fell into. You wouldn't think that would something that requires 12 years of schooling past high school would be something you fall into. But my family is very science-based. 3 siblings, both my parents, they're all in the hard sciences. And so for me, science just seemed like the logical thing to do. Logical. So there's that word, logical. And that it didn't really occur to me to ask, so what do I really want to do? And so I just basically picked the science that I felt that interested me the most. And it turned out to be astrophysics, which I got interested in at Williams College. And I finished my degree at Williams College, went on to UC Santa Cruz for a master's and a PhD, and then just naturally kept following my nose and worked at NASA, and then was eventually hired on as a civil servant. But things petered out after graduate school. I found like I was losing my interest, that I just was losing any excitement that I once had, and I got less and less interested in my work. And so once I started working at NASA, I was still doing research, but I found that felt like I was going around in circles. I wasn't excited by my work anymore, and I ended up in a managerial position, which actually is something that scientists don't want to do. However, I discovered that I actually kind of liked it, and this was like a breakthrough for me to discover that I enjoyed working with people rather than doing numbers. And so once I discovered that working with people was something that I enjoyed, it led for a kind of a letting go of the rest of my career. And then my son was born when I was 41 in 2004. And at that time, my husband said, "You haven't been that happy at NASA. Would you like to quit?" And so I was like, okay, I'll quit. I don't need to stay anymore. And then over the years, I opened up to this passion of mine, which is Dreamwork. And since then, I've built a career on Dreamwork. And it happened organically since I quit. But I had to quit and let go of the thing that wasn't working for me before I could discover what my true passion was.
You had to give yourself that space.
I did, yeah.
How did you discover that? Because it is a big change, really.
Oh, yeah.
So, astrophysicist to dream coach. So how did that happen?
I've always been interested in my dreams, and I had done a certain amount of therapy because I really wasn't happy, and it was very helpful. But then I discovered dreams and playing with my dreams and I led a dream group with my dreams for about 12 years. We met every single week with some friends of mine, and it was just something that I really looked forward to, was really excited about. And it was like a great way for me to open up myself, a personal growth opportunity. And after I had quit my job at NASA, I needed a much bigger personal growth, because I'm like, what have I done? I quit my job at NASA? Are you kidding me? What now? And so I got deeper into the dream work, and I started having dreams about coaching other people, about being like a practitioner. And I had dreams about leading groups. And so I started following my dreams. I took a lot of classes, but I never went back for a degree. I thought about going back for a clinical psychology degree. But by then I was 50, and I'm like, I don't want like a huge amount of debt and all this time for a clinical practice. Oh, I love doing what I do. I love the dream coaching I do, but I just wanted to do more of it. So I just decided not to do the degree and just to focus on what I'm doing and to find ways to do more.
Oh, I find it fascinating. I love that this was something that you were doing out of joy with your friends that just served you, filled you up.
Yeah.
And you ended up turning that thing that filled you up that you're doing with your friends into a business. I think that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and I know that's not always that easy. It's a process. What was your process like? Really, you've been doing this for how long now?
Well,
Since you started your own company.
The dream, I started Experiential Dreamwork, I think it was 2010 or 2011 or so. It was also based on dreams, of course. I just was following my way. But part of it is I did have support in my life. I'm really blessed that I was able to have support to get started from my now ex-husband. And that we have a son together I've been raising. And so he supported me to get started with my business. So that was super helpful. Really making the commitment was a key point, a key moment for sure.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, making the commitment and sticking with it through the ups and downs, I would imagine. What has been some of the challenges that you've had to deal with through this process?
Some of the finding enough clients is always the tricky thing, because that's basically. But I found that I've tried all kinds of advertising techniques, but what really works best is word of mouth, and having my current clients recommend other clients to me. And so, when I'm in session with somebody and they say, "Wow, this is amazing work. I love it." I'm like, "Tell your friends." I'm available. I got a business card, look me up. And that seems to be the biggest way to spread the word about what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, what about you? What would you say has been one of your greater accomplishments since you've started this process?
I love the radio show. The radio show I've been doing now 2 years. It just passed my 2-year anniversary.
Great. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's really, I've never done anything before in audio at all. Maybe I watched too much Frasier at one point where he does this radio show. And I'm like, hey, I could do that with dreams. And then I started having dreams about talking on the air, and I just followed my intuition. Some of the dreams were just hinting at things, but I would wake up and go, well, that's an interesting idea. Like I got an email about this new radio station that was started. It's about 3 or 4 years ago now. And I'm like, maybe this is a chance I can do my radio show that I've thought about. And I just did. I don't know if I'm qualified because I'd never done any audio, but let me just do one step at a time. And I put together a proposal. And then I did a little interview with one of my clients as like how we would talk about dreams on the air. And bit by bit, I just went through each step. And pretty soon they were like, how about Saturday morning, 10 o'clock? I'm like, I guess it's happening. And that's just one of the things. It's just following my intuition and like starting a whole workshop series I started during the pandemic. I have been doing groups where we work dreams, but the actual workshops where I actually do a teaching piece and then we do exercises together is all new since the pandemic started. And I've been learning so much from that. And it's given me the courage to do my next thing, which is I'm actually starting to write a book.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's great. And so now in your workshop, so before the pandemic, you were doing groups. So it was all local. You were limited, really. Yep. So these workshops, have you felt it's opened up your clientele and opened up your exposure to other?
Definitely. I know that the pandemic's been hard for a lot of people, but I found it's been a real boost for my business because a lot of people are very anxious. A lot of people are also sleeping in more than they used to because they don't have to commute. And so people remember their dreams when you wake up without an alarm. I think of alarms as dream destroyers. That if you wake up just naturally, there's often a dream there. So people are remembering their dreams. Also, there's a certain amount of anxiety during this time. And so that also creates more dreams.
Yeah.
So yeah. I have found that. And also what you were just saying about having to do everything in person before the pandemic, I had an office in town and people would come to me for sessions and also for the groups. And then once the pandemic happened, everything went online. And now I'm working with people from Canada and I have people on the East Coast come to my groups. And people in the radio station is worldwide. So it really has opened things up in terms of being able to reach more people on a much wider platform.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. I can imagine it would add a lot of richness to your groups too.
Oh, yeah.
the expansion. That's fantastic. Now, you also do a festival, which I find fascinating.
Yes. So we've done it 3 times now. The last one was 2019. We had thank goodness we were going to skip a year, and then the pandemic hit, which we would have certainly had to cancel it last year. So we're going to start up again, probably 2022 is what we're thinking of next. And it's a kind of a 2-day conference where people come together and they share their dream experiences, and we have experts offering workshops. And what we did our 3rd year, which was really fun, is we had a dream ball.
I love it.
When what that is it's a dance party. You get together with all your fellow dreamers at the conference. We had 100 people, almost 100. So that's and you get your costume on based on a dream character. And then you dance and you get to embody the dream character. And I actually had a zebra striped onesie on with little zebra ears because I had a pivotal dream of mine was about being in a zebra tribe in a herd of zebras. And so I'm like, okay. So I did my zebra dance all night.
Okay, I have questions around that. But before we go into that, what was your inspiration for starting this festival? Because that's a big step.
Oh, it was a very big step. It was interesting because I'm now very much involved in the IASD, the International Association for the Study of Dreams. But at the time that I started the festivals, I was not yet a member. I didn't know that they were doing conferences similar to what I was doing. But I was inspired by a dream practitioner named Kezia Kamenetz in New Orleans area, and that she had what she called the Dream Caravan, where she had an all-day event all about dreams. And I went to that. I was there for a retreat. And I was blown away by the richness of the conversation and the excitement of people just really coming to understand how powerful their dreams are and talking about their own dreams, listening to other people's dreams and how they've changed their lives. And I was like, I want to do that. I want to do a Santa Cruz dream caravan. And so we called it the caravan the first year. And the second year we changed to festival. It's just evolved over time. That's the thing. It's been in a different place each time. And we have our group of volunteers who puts the conference on, puts the festival on, has grown over the years. But there's a lot of enthusiasm. And I have since joined the IASD, as I was mentioning, and that opened me up to a huge network of people who get together. They have a conference every year with about 300 people usually show up to the conferences.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so I got exposed to all those other people and these other ideas about how to get people together.
That's fantastic, which led to other things for you.
Absolutely.
Which makes me curious because really deciding to start a festival, thinking, I want to do that. That sounds like something that I really want to do. And then actually doing it, there's a whole lot that is happening in there. Can you share with us a little bit about your experience that first time and making wanting and then making the decision and all of the things that emotions and things that happen while you go through that process?
Oh yeah, no, it's okay. There's this thing people always say, ready, aim, shoot. This is like the standard thing. And so I've changed it around. Now it's shoot, aim, maybe we're never ready. Just pull the trigger.
Love this, actually.
Just pull the trigger, just see what happens, and then you can adjust as you go on. Yeah. And so many of the things like the radio show, the workshops, and the festival were like that. Even starting up with clients, it's like I want to just start, and like asking your friend, do you want to sit down with me and talk about your dreams? And let's just start and see what happens, and then adjust from there. The festival was very much like that. It was an idea that was one of these ideas that I just couldn't let go of. And those are the ones that are really valuable. So it just kept coming up. It's like, oh, okay, what can I do? And I started to think about what it might look like. And one of the first things was, so where would I hold such a thing? And that was a key for me when I just thought about a local church. And I was able to rent some space at a local church. So I actually rented the space for February. Our first festival was in February, and I rented it like in August. I'm thinking, I'll have it figured out by then, I'm sure. And so between August and February, I was just like, now what? And calling on my friends and people I was doing dreams with. And so what would you like to see? And talking to Kezia. I talked to Kezia a lot about what worked for her and what didn't work so well. And we did a lot of brainstorming sessions. And it's okay to go forward with a sense of fear and panic. It's okay. I've discovered that I can ride that panic and go, okay, all right, so I'm still here. I'm still moving forward. And just because I'm scared doesn't mean I'm not going to do it. So I've gotten a lot more comfortable with being afraid than I ever thought I could be.
Isn't it liberating,
Oh
right?
my God, it is. It really
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. We spend a lot. I find that, I think I'm hypothesizing, but I feel that people spend a lot of time trying to avoid those feelings, trying to do whatever they can to not experience those feelings. But when you step into it and you do something that's really scary and you experience all those feelings, but you still move forward, it's just such a liberating. And then you're still standing, even if things go wrong, is if you're still standing, and it's just this, oh, I can do this.
Right.
It's okay.
And it liberates you in all kinds of other ways. Like I actually liberated me to find relationship as well. That I divorced my husband years ago, but it was probably 10 years before I found a fellow that I'm interested in now. And I just got to the point I'm just like, let me just ask. I never can tell if people are flirting or not. I have blind about that. But I'm like, okay, let me just ask. Are you available? Would you like to go on a date sometime? Just like
Powerful.
yeah. And sometimes people go no, and you're like, oh well. That kind of thing feels so good, but oh well, I'll ask this other guy then.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. I think it's fantastic. And we all need that power. So going back to your dreams, because you brought up a number of times dreams, and it seems that they're influencing your decisions in your life. Have you been making a lot of important decisions based on the dreams that you're experiencing and evaluating?
Yeah, definitely. I would say that usually the dreams are way ahead of me. Like the dream is going to offer me something that I never even considered I might want to do that. And I may not even recognize till like months later, oh, that dream was like letting me know that was happening. One example I could give you back from, this was before I started my business in 2008 or so. I had a dream where I'm standing on stage in an evening gown and there's a man playing the piano and he's gazing into my eyes, and it's just this wonderful moment of connection and feeling seen. And this was like a breakthrough for me to really feel connected. And I'm on stage at this very public place. And so my dream coach at the time, so we have blind spots, so it can be very helpful to have a coach. My coach at the time was like, I love it that you're having this connection, but I think there's something else here. And I'm like, what else could be here? And she said, step back and take a look. And you're in an evening gown, you're standing by the piano. And I'm like, oh my God, it was like Billie Holiday. I could be singing. I had not considered that, but I do love to sing, and I hadn't sung in quite a while. And it came back around in my life. I started actually writing songs about my dream work and then performing them a cappella in front of retreats and people. And it was very vulnerable, and it just really helped me enter in my body. And I think it's helped me find my voice in a kind of a literal way. And so this dream kind of led me down the path of this singing is going to be really helpful. And it was very powerful, and it led the way.
This is amazing to me. I'm going to be honest. I have not spent a lot of time evaluating my dreams. Now, but I feel listening to you talk, is there a way for myself, for listeners, to use their dreams to move them closer to their own success?
Absolutely. So one of my pet theories about dreams is that they are part of our emotional immune system, and that when we go to sleep and wake up in the morning, we always feel a little better. And the studies have shown a lot of that is about dreaming. The dreaming is what actually helps us get to equilibrium, and it also helps us move forward. So I don't need to understand a dream for it to help me. So if a listener would like to start working with the dreams, just write them down. And you might scratch your head, go, what is this about? Well, you don't need to understand, but just feel into the dream, read it back to yourself, and notice the feelings. So the feelings are very important in dreams, and the feelings have a lot to do with moving us forward. Emotion puts us in motion. So to read through the dream and feel into the different parts of the dream, and notice if there's anybody helping you, because often in dreams somebody's there to help us, and we go, oh, I got it. No, I'm fine. And we just rush on in the dream and waking life. But learning to notice when help is available is going to change your whole life, because then you'll notice in waking life the help that's available. So as you make friends with your dream characters and start to say, oh, thank you. Oh, I know I rushed past you in my dream, but now in waking life, I want to turn and say, thank you. I would like some help. That helps us learn how to turn to the people in our lives for help.
Oh, that's really big. That's really powerful. It gave me a little bit of chills, because it is true. We all, not all, I'll be honest, I need help. Maybe I say we all, but I know many people are similar where they need help asking for help. There's something that stops you. And I'll be honest, it was actually a podcast guest that helped open that up for me, because it made me realize, I don't ask for help very often. And it is a very powerful thing to do. And once you open up that door to help, opening up all these other doors. So that is really interesting. So looking around to see who's helping you in your dreams.
Right. I really think that the dream work that I did has really transitioned my experience of being alive. I always felt like life was such a burden and a struggle. And I was actually suicidal for about a decade or more.
Oh, wow.
And just really unhappy, but I could function. I was like, but then as I started to find these helpful characters in my dreams, and then started to notice them in my waking life, the humans, but then also just coincidences and synchronicities and things, I started to shift over. And so now there's like a sense in me that the universe is a friendly place.
Isn't that,
that's blow me away, because there was so long when I just felt like it was a burden, like being a human was such a burden. And now I just feel like it's such a gift. And I really feel like the dreams have led me to that place where I can connect with the support that the universe has for us.
Oh, I find that so beautiful. And you know what? And I know there's a lot of people out there who feel that way. Is there anything else that helped you get through that time and come out of it?
Oh boy. I had a crisis in 2005 when my baby was 1 years old, and I was with my now ex-husband and very unhappy. I had quit my NASA job and I wasn't sure what was coming next. And I was up in Oregon and I was denying my pain so much that I actually ignored my symptoms until I had a ruptured appendix. My appendix actually popped, and I almost died. The doctor was like, "This is how people die of appendicitis. You've got to pay attention to your feelings." And I was like, "How have I abandoned myself so that I almost died for something that I could have just said, okay, I got time to go to the hospital." But for 3 days, I ignored my pain, and it just brought me back face to face with how I ignored my pain and how sad I felt about that I was able to totally deny myself, to the point that I almost died. And it was really a wake-up call that I was like, okay, this isn't right. This can't go on. And it was such a wake-up call that I was like, okay, I have to be more honest. I have to be more in touch with my body and willing to listen to my body. And that's the dreams. A lot of dream work is about our bodies and connecting to our bodies and listening to that intuition from our gut and from our hearts. And the dreams really help us connect, on a neurological level, actually, because there's when we're awake, all of our energies at the front of our brains, the forebrain. But when we're dreaming, it's all deep in our brains, the amygdala and the hippocampus and all that. I'm still a scientist. I can't help it. But when we work with the dreams in waking life, it actually builds these neural bridges. So we actually learn to get more connected with our body by working with our dreams. And that opens us up to intuition. And it's very powerful. And for me, it was exactly what's needed. And some of the people I've worked with have said it was very valuable for them too.
Oh, that's amazing. These are things that I've not thought about. And so it's really interesting. Now, coming out of this time of depression, if you will, of feeling that lowness, that unhappiness, did you adopt certain habits that helped you lift you?
A lot of it around that time was around dreams and accepting help. I was actually, when I was pregnant, that I was a yoga teacher. I was in a yoga class for pregnant women. And she said, make it a spiritual practice to always say yes when someone offers to help. And I had a hard time, when I'm about to have a baby, and then I had a baby, it was still very hard for me to accept help. And so really that's one of my big spiritual practices is finding out a way to accept help. Because people will say, oh, can I help you with this? And even if I can't imagine how they might possibly help, I'd say, I try. And it's still hard. I still have to fight the urge to say, no, I got it. I try really hard to say, yes, I'm not sure how you can help quite now, but I would like your help.
That's good. Oh, I like that. That's good. I'm going to use that. That's a good response right there.
Because I can picture myself doing all kinds of things. I'm very strong and I can muscle through all kinds of stuff. That's not the life I want. That was part of what led to my depression, thinking I was all alone.
Not connected. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big thing, not feeling connected.
Exactly.
How did you regain that connected feeling? I'm curious.
Well,
this is something people struggle with.
Oh, I know, absolutely. So, well, there's the dreams. That dreams is really, so that's really my main spiritual practice these days is the dream work and to see what's in there. That's one of the things about dreams is even if it's like a small thing in a dream and you think, oh, this is not a big deal, but it's just okay. Like maybe I notice how I give people something. I don't, rather than asking somebody what they want, I try to figure out what they want and then give it to them. Like you might think, oh, how wonderful! Look, you're not even bothering. You don't need to ask them. But that's my bossiness. That's actually not very helpful. And that actually, even though it seems like a really small thing, it becomes a big thing because I find that I spend a lot of energy trying to figure out what people want or what they need. And certainly, as third of four children, growing up as a middle child, I was definitely a mediator. They want that, and we can figure out. And I was like really good at figuring out people could like work things out, or I'd be like, okay, I'll do that. And so it becomes this, what seems like a little thing at first becomes this big thing that was sapping a lot of my energy. And the dreams will start to tell you about your habits that are not serving you because what the dream is doing is trying to nudge you into a place of a better, more stable emotional condition. And so the issues that the dreams bring up will be issues that you can work with in waking life.
Now, what if someone doesn't dream very much? Do you have suggestions for that?
One thing is just to know that you are dreaming. Everybody dreams. The studies have shown that every human being dreams 4, 5, 6 times every single night. So you can at least know that you do dream.
Okay.
And then typically people remember only the one right before they awaken. And I would say that I like that phrase you said, not very much. So if you're dreaming at all, then you are dreaming. So even if you just wake up and say, I was climbing a tree, and that's it, well, write that down. That's a dream. That's a dream. And there may be something for you about how you're feeling like you have to work really hard to get to the top, or maybe there's something there about where's the ladder. There can be a lot of metaphorical ways of working with that, just that one little image. So any hint you wake up with, that you write that down, that's a dream. So it starts with having gratitude for the dreams that you do have. So recognizing that you do have dreams, and the ones you do have, that you say, okay, thank you, that's a dream, rather than, oh, just that little dream. You know.
Have you noticed you've had more dreams since you started paying attention to your dreams?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, having an intention makes a big difference. Having a journal by your bed. I actually speak into my phone. I do the little voice to text thing where you speak and then it shows up as words on your phone. That's my favorite way of doing recording. But whatever works for you, a pen and a piece of paper, and have something set up so as soon as you wake up in the morning, you can grab it, maybe even before you get out of bed, and write it down, because it will disappear very quickly.
I'm going to start doing this. Yeah. It's not a practice I've adopted, but I'm going to. I love it. I'm excited for this.
If you have another journal where you're doing other kinds of practices, like gratitude practices or meditation or journaling, just do it, add that dreams to that.
Yeah.
And then just whatever dream you get, just mull it over and go, okay, there's something here. I don't know what it is, but just have faith in yourself. Trust yourself that there is something helpful here.
Yeah, because I don't remember my dreams very often. So maybe doing this process will help me remember them a lot more. And that'd be very exciting. So now, is there anything that you've gone through that's been a regret?
Ooh, that's interesting. I've gone back and forth over my schooling, and that I don't know. I don't know if I said regret, but whether I caved into family pressure or like my perceived family pressure. You know, it's all my perception. It's not anyone's fault, but I just saw that the only thing that one could do is sciences. And yet I've always been interested in psychology. I took a psych class in high school and I loved it. It was like fascinating. And I read books about the brain. And I've always read about psychology. It seemed like it was, I don't know, trivial. I don't know. I guess it comes down to not respecting myself. And that I guess I regret is that I didn't learn to respect myself.
Oh, man. So that's a big one right there.
Yeah. Just like
still learning to do that?
Oh, absolutely. I still am. I'm still am too. It's absolutely ongoing process. And forgiving myself is extremely important part of this process, is forgiving myself for the things that I didn't do, for the choosing what I thought I was supposed to do rather than what I wanted to do. And I need to forgive myself. And it feels, I get to tell myself that I was doing the best I could. And I thought that's what I had to do. Forgiving ourselves is super important.
That's something I just learned actually a year ago, almost to the week.
Oh, wow.
And it was one of the more powerful things that I've learned in my life to free me up from all those past burdens. So yes, forgiving yourself is a really big deal.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. And I'm also curious to find out what that was all about. I mean, it must have been an experience for you to have this moment of learning to forgive yourself. Is it okay if I ask you about that?
Yeah, actually I was at a conference, and it was a talk that they were doing about forgiveness, and they actually led us through a forgiveness meditation. And they said, don't pick something too hard because it'll be your first time. And I thought to myself, you know what? I'm sitting in this room full of people ready to do this together with someone who's an expert, who's going to walk me through. I'm going to pick the most important thing I can. And I picked myself.
You picked your what?
I picked a big thing.
You picked a big one. Oh, good. Yes, yes.
I picked a big one, and I just went for it. And it was so liberating. It literally felt like a weight off my shoulder.
Yeah, yeah.
And I felt that lightness ever since. And I continuously use this practice now, not only on myself, but on everybody. So I can forgive everybody, and I don't have anything holding on. And you know what? It was pretty much a lifelong insomniac. I've always had sleep issues, and I have had the best sleep of my life in this past year.
We get so much energy that's tied up in resentments, against other people or against ourselves. And I get it. Bad things happen, and it doesn't mean it's okay that bad things happen. What does they say about resentment? Is like resentment is taking poison and hoping somebody else will die. It's our poison. We get poisoned by the resentment.
Yeah.
So.
Now, when did you start learning to forgive yourself, though? Because this is something that isn't always talked about. Were you older? Is this when you learned younger?
I think it must have been older because, that's a good question. Yeah, I think it must have been fairly recently. You know what? I can think about one of my dream teachers was talking about that when we're like taking care of other people, caretaking, like when we're like taking care of someone else and ignoring ourselves, then that gets labeled, oh, bad. That's bad behavior because you're ignoring yourself. But this teacher of mine said, but wait a minute. You're doing the best you can. And of all the things you could be doing in the world, that's not so bad, taking care of somebody else instead of taking care of yourself. But the key was that this is how you survived. Like, this is how I learned to survive as a kid, was by like reading my mom and really, and figuring out with the teachers, what do they want? And that this is a way that I have survived. And that's how I learned to forgive myself about that particular trait of mine. And it's really bled over into all kinds of things, that the things that I do, it doesn't, and some things I do I still have regrets about, and yet I forgive myself because I was doing the best I could and I was trying to survive. And that's what I think about people around me, that when I bring my brain into it, get conscious, is even when the people make me angry, it's okay, they're still doing the best they can. Even the biggest, most destructive person you can imagine, they're still doing the best they can. And however they were raised, however their mind sees it, what they see is they're doing their best.
Yeah.
And that's a tough one. But it's been so helpful for me to start to see things that way, because it's freed up all this energy, like you said. It frees up a ton of energy in you to not be holding this resentment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you've done a lot in your life, and you've had a lot of changes, and you've had a lot of accomplishments. I'm curious, what would you say has been your greatest success in life?
Greatest success in life. Wow. This is a little weird, but there's something about that I feel happy. I might get embarrassed to say that. I don't know. Because there's this thing, where we're supposed to keep ourselves down, and like life is very serious. Not every day, all day, every day, but 80% of the time I'm basically coming along, and I feel so blessed, all the support in my life, and that's a success.
I love it. That made me happy. That made me happy. I think it's perfect. So this is great. Now, thank you so much. This has been a wonderful conversation. Before we wrap up, I'm just wondering if there's anything one piece of advice that you would share with the audience that you think might benefit them the most in life at this point in time.
Okay. I'm going to keep it broad because not everybody remembers dreams, but I would say consider trusting yourself. And notice when you don't, and not to shame yourself when you don't trust yourself. If you second guess this or that, that's okay. You're doing the best you can, but consider that impulse you have might be good, might be a good thing. And it's a practice. It's bit by bit. It's
And now let's say they have an impulse when they should think it's a good thing. Right. Is there anything that helps you actually make that step? Because that moment from thinking about something and taking that step, is there anything that helps you do that?
One thing that the brain is most useful at is like simulating what's going to happen going forward. So I don't consider myself impulsive in that I will at least run it through the simulator and make sure no one's going to get hurt. So something is I want to go do something today and I don't really know why. So I'll first check and make sure nobody's going to get hurt. Okay, then what's the cost? There's no big downside here. I'll go ahead and try it. So what do I have to lose?
So you go for the why not? It's like, why not?
Yeah. Right. Why not? And who knows what's going to come of it? It may not be what I think is going to come of it, but maybe something else will. And even if it doesn't, at least I had a nice day.
There you go. And you're right. You never know what's going to come. It's always worth a shot. Right. We see this all the time. They lead, they tumble, and they might take different paths, but they always lead somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think that 2020.
What a year.
Now, for anyone who's interested, we'll have your website on the show notes. And I take it you have ongoing groups that are occurring?
Yep, I do. Right now I'm teaching 3 groups a week. I have my Monday workshop, which is a hands-on workshop where you learn about your dreams. And that was a real community. We have about 7 or 8, 9 people where we're really exploring dreams. And I have different themes. The theme for the month of March is going to be dreams and spirituality. So I'm nervous about that. Wait. But it's going to be great. But like I said, nervous is fine. I'll carry on.
You're nervous.
Nervous is fine. And then I have 2 groups a week where we specifically work dreams, people big dreams, and we explore them together. I also offer a free consultation. If somebody would like to consider working with me as a coach, then I offer a free 30, 45-minute consultation, so they can contact me there about that. And then the radio show is on it's called The Dream Journal, and it's available on any podcast. You can look that up. And I'd love to hear from anybody.
Yeah. Now, so do you have guests on your show?
I do. I have dream experts on every week, or also just dream enthusiasts. I love having people who come and talk about their own dreams. And occasionally I'll work dreams live on the air. I take call-ins. People want to call in and talk about a dream on the air or ask a question. And sometimes I'll have my guest will be someone I can work a dream with. So that's always fun.
Oh, yeah. I bet that's interesting. Mm-hmm. Very cool. Okay. And then we should also keep an eye out for the festival in 2022. Right. That's what's coming back. Okay.
Right. And that's festivalofdreams.net is that webpage. And my regular business page is experientialdreamwork.com.
Great. And the festival is in Santa Cruz. Yes?
Yes, in Santa Cruz.
Beautiful Santa Cruz. So you can't go wrong with that. So, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Jolie.
Greatly appreciate it.
Fabulous.
I love Katherine's story. Going from astrophysicist to dream coach and everything she learned in between. There were so many good messages. Katherine went into science, becoming an astrophysicist because her family was into science, and it was expected that she would too. Even though she found a fascination with psychology, she stuck with her science-based schooling, becoming an astrophysicist and landing a coveted role at NASA. Once in that ultimate role, she found she wasn't feeling excited about her work anymore. To me, this is a perfect example showing that the only dream role that exists is the one that is perfectly right for you. Katherine's experience is a common one. I'm sure many people can relate to waking up one day and realizing their profession, the one with their current expertise, is not making them happy. It's very scary and difficult to make a change. And so many people out there will suffer through, spending years doing work that does not fulfill. I am so glad Kathleen had the opportunity in life to give her a big pause and allow her the time to figure out what she wanted to do. I know that we all do not have that luxury, but if I can urge anything, it would be to carve out personal time each week to follow your passions. You never know what might come once you start putting that focus and energy into something that excites you. For Katherine, spending time on her hobby, that thing that just naturally filled her up, led to a fulfilling career. At the very least, spending time on things that excite you will bring you more joy into your life, and we can all use more joy. Now, as Katherine was starting up her dream practice, she found that her best business development success came from word of mouth, doing a good job with her clients and having them share with their friends. I want to call attention to this because this is how a large percentage of small businesses grow, through word of mouth. I have been reflecting on this lately, and I want to suggest that we all work on being mindful of how we can use our own voices to lift up those around us. The people who are doing good work, providing good services, delicious food, good music, reliable products, anything we feel grateful for, let's be sure to share with our friends and use our voices to help all those small businesses around us thrive. Once Kathleen felt established with her dream practice, she kept building onto her expertise, stacking different successes and experiences to create a strong dream brand. She has followed her intuition as she goes along, and she's expanded into radio show, home workshops, video workshops, a dream festival, and now she's writing a book. This method is something that we can all apply to whatever industry we're currently in. We can stack upon our own expertise and grow our personal brand. I love that Katherine throws herself into these things that she's never had experience with, yet completely opens herself up to it. And it's not that she doesn't have fear. It's just that she's become comfortable moving forward in the face of fear. This is key. This is huge for success in life. Fear is a part of life, and it creeps up endlessly. It can also control your life and stop you from experiencing so much of what life has to offer. If your fear is not based on the physical safety of yourself or others, then I suggest making a promise to yourself when you feel fear. Again, if it's not safety-based, step into it. Push yourself past that fear and do whatever it is that you are stopping yourself from experiencing. Learn to walk with your fear rather than behind it, and watch your life open. So much of what we're scared of is because it's unfamiliar. Our brains naturally like the familiar and gravitates to the familiar, even if it's not good for us. Remember this and know that you can make the unfamiliar familiar. It just takes a bit of practice, a bit of repetition, a bit of exposure, and effort in the direction that you want to go in. And then all of a sudden, that scary thing, that unfamiliar thing, has now become familiar, and you have grown that much more because of it. So take Katherine's advice. If there is a goal you are wanting to go after, even if you aren't ready, move forward anyway and see what happens. Deal with what you need as you go along. And remember, perfection is the enemy of progress, and action, the antidote to fear. I'm going to say that one more time. Perfection is the enemy of progress, and action the antidote to fear. Take one step at a time, and bit by bit, you'll find yourself that much closer to all your goals. I learned so much about dreams from Katherine. I'm paying attention and noticing my dreams more now, writing them down, and I hope you'll consider doing the same. Katherine gave such great advice around learning from our dreams, writing them down, noticing your feelings as you read through what was written, noticing when help is available in your dreams, and from where it's coming from. Paying close attention to her dreams helped Katherine shift herself from a highly depressed state to seeing the universe as a friendly place. Her dreams helped her feel connection to the universe again. They taught her how to notice the help available in life and then be open to accepting that help. And I love this. I love that Kathleen made this a spiritual practice in her life to accept help when it's offered. Even if it's, yes, I'm not quite sure how you can help right now, but I would like your help. Accepting help from someone not only deepens the connection between the two of you, but it allows someone else to feel good about doing something good. Helping others is as good as helping yourself. So being willing to accept help is as good as helping others. And now is a really great time for us to pick up our giving and receiving game. Forgiveness. Forgiveness was another big lesson from Katherine. Learning to forgive. It frees you from your past burdens. It releases that negative energy that you've been carrying around with you for much too long. Forgiveness of self and for others is transformative in the very best of ways. I bought insomnia products out there. I mean, every insomnia product I could find that promised me sleep, but in the end, shocking to me, the only thing that brought me peace in the middle of the night was a forgiveness practice. Remember that forgiveness does not mean you need to let go of justice when dealing with something illegal. It simply means that you are letting go of the hold it has over you. You're letting go of that resentment, the anger, the hook that continues to be a bar in your side at those unexpected moments. It's letting go of the poison that remains inside. I highly suggest adopting a forgiveness practice. I believe it so much that I may create a forgiveness meditation to add to this podcast for listeners. The forgiveness meditation I learned is a 6-part process from Vishen Lakhiani from Mind Valley. He also includes a forgiveness part in his 6-phase meditation, which is an excellent meditation for anyone looking for something guided. You can do a simple forgiveness meditation yourself by following these 6 steps. First, create the space. Visualize the space where the situation occurred, or visualize a safe, protected space. Second, read them the charge. See the person in front of you. Tell them how they have wronged you. I want you to feel the emotions, relive the anger and the pain, and feel it burn, but only for a couple of minutes. Once you bring up the emotions, you want to move on. Third, think about this person. What kind of experiences have they gone through in life? What have they dealt with to make them act this way? What did they lack in life? What hurt have they gone through? What has helped shape them? Remember that hurt people hurt people. Fourth, attempt to see things from their eyes. See the situation you're forgiving from their perspective. Feel compassion for this person. Fifth, think about what you have learned from the situation. Ask yourself, was there meaning that helped you become a better you? How did you grow from this? Reflect on your own growth and learning from the situation. And sixth, forgive them. Let them know that you are done holding on to this grudge or pain, and imagine hugging them, passing love onto them, and setting them free. See them fade away. Feel yourself letting go. Feel yourself lightening. And remember to do this on yourself as well as on others. We are all doing the best we can at any given moment in time. I'm going to leave you with one final thought from Katherine. To live a successful and fulfilling life, you must learn to trust and listen to yourself. So many of us have not spent the time getting comfortable in that space that is purely you to really listen, let alone fully trust. Listening to your inside world is where you will find your answers. Katherine urges us to get in touch with that trust by giving voice to your impulses. Consider any impulse that comes your way. Run it through that simulator to make sure no one's going to get hurt. Always the first rule, no hurting yourself or others. But if no one will get hurt, what is the cost? What do you have to lose? Why not follow the impulse? Go for the why not. That is my wish for us. You never know what will come from it, and at the very least, you will satisfy that soul urge and add a new experience to life. Why not? Until next time. Thank you for spending time with us on Fresh Blood. If you love this episode, please consider subscribing, rating, or giving us a review. I'm looking forward to connecting with you again on the next episode.